Hey, everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Between the Lanes. And we are so excited that you are here. And listen, this is the episode right after Thanksgiving. So here we are. We are officially in holiday season. And I'm super excited about this episode because I sort of sprung a surprise on one of our guests. And I'm not even going to give Dad an opportunity to comment on our guest because I just want to jump right in because they together are actually my guests today on Between the Lanes because it's truly between all the lanes. It's the matriarch and patriarch. Mama Jan and Papa Tom are now the guests. Okay, so Dad, of course, you know we're co-hosts of this, but today I'm gonna take a little bit more like I'm gonna put you in like the guest seat.
Okay.
To get to also then interview really. I mean, Mom, welcome to Between the Lanes.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
This, you have a lot to do with this. Yeah, I mean, maybe even you're an idea person, but you're also like, you're the matriarch. You,
I am. I'm a great behind the scenes person.
yeah. So, so we're Mom's not. It's funny if you know my mom at all. She is extremely, she's energetic and joyful and sort of vivacious, and then you put a mic in front of her and it's like crickets. So the goal of this, okay, I want to hold myself accountable to the audience here that I'm going to draw out the authentic Jan Lane so you can see what we see at the dinner table, as we converse and have sort of fun around all that. So here's the point of today, right? So we're entering the holiday seasons and our family loves the holidays. And built within the holidays are lots of traditions and, just the dynamics that make family family. And, one of the ways in which we're trying to approach everything that we talk about and all the different lanes of life. Well, a key lane of life for us is our family. And you two are at the head of that and pretty responsible for it. So let me just kind of start with some light topics, Mom. I'm going to draw you into this. What's your favorite dish to make at Thanksgiving? What did you enjoy making the most?
The dressing.
The dressing. Oh yeah, was that like a family recipe? Did you make this up on your own, or did it come from
Pepperidge
generations?
Farm.
Pepperidge Farm.
Yes, and I love it.
Pepperidge?
Yes, Pepperidge.
And so you.
It's stovetop stuffing, and it's really quick and easy, but it's so tasty, and it tastes like the dressing my mom went to all that trouble to make back in the day.
So she put all this and not to say that you didn't put effort, but you kind of were sort of outing yourself a little bit, right? Yeah.
100%.
Are there let's just go down that road a second. Are there other ways that you have shortcutted the baking process?
By not doing it at all.
Oh, I wasn't trying to say that. What was your favorite? What?
I disagree. I think she's demonstrated one of the best leadership skills. Yes, she delegates.
Delegates.
Yes.
Two people who do cook.
So, around Thanksgiving, there's like these stories and people in the kitchen, da 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 da. That's like a many people around our family, right? Do you like to sort of direct those folks and then make your stuffing? Is that the?
I mean, I like to make my stuffing ahead of time, so when everyone gets there, I can get out of their way and they can do their thing.
Yeah.
I am good at delegating, yes. Very good. In fact, I'm very good at sitting, watching people do work in my kitchen and just talking to them.
And it creates an atmosphere.
It does
See,
create-
already you've hit on two leadership principles: creating an atmosphere that people can enjoy themselves and delegation. That's fantastic. Dad, you would agree with both these qualities
I
of Mom?
totally would agree with that.
So you guys wrote a book called "Strong Women and the Men Who Love Them."
We did.
Did that offend you at all that you were called the strong woman?
No, because the original title that that was suggested to us was Dominant Women.
Dominant woman.
And I thought Strong Women sounded great after that.
Yeah, so they started way over here and brought it closer. So strong women.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And the men who love them. When that title was mentioned, Dominant Women, I was passive man.
Oh, is that that was in the title?
Yeah, dominant women, passive
Passive
men.
men.
It's like,
Man.
No, I'm not passive at all.
We
Yeah.
were both offended with
Yeah,
it.
I was going to say they offended both of you with the
Yes.
development of this title.
Yes.
But you got to the right title that you both felt good as it reflected your relationship.
Yep.
What does strong woman mean to you, Mom? What does that mean?
I feel like, I think some women think of it's like a leadership and being the head of a company or something, but I just feel like it's just leading strongly.
Mm-hmm.
And in wherever you are. Like I was just a mom. I mean, I've never been a leader of a corporation, or I guess I've taught some classes before and things like that. I guess I wrote a book. But I feel like I'm every woman. I mean, I'm like the person that is home, taking care of their family, thinking about their family, thinking about the home, how to take care of the home,
Yeah.
and those kind of things.
So
And wanting to get family together, and very much wanting family to be together. I mean, I just think there's so much healing that happens. I mean, there's some hurts too, but there's a lot of healing that happens when family's together.
Yeah.
And so that's my heart's desire. I love that.
you do a great job of it.
Thank you.
And being in, your family, I know you also got it from your parents. So give people a little background about what that even looked like from you. So I love that your role, as you saw, was to create a home. And so, but that was passed down for you. I saw that from Grandma and Grandpa Frazier. And so what did you see in your mom and dad that you wanted to model and then did model?
I think my mom and dad were better at it than I am. They would invite anybody over anytime and have them in the home and hang out. And we got to meet so many interesting people, even as a child. You know, my mom and dad liked to have missionaries in the home, even spend the night. And so we got to hear stories, like unbelievable stories, unbelievable cool stories about what God was doing in other parts of the world. Loved that. And so, I mean, I just love to be around people.
Yeah. Yeah, and you saw it modeled for you to create a space for people to come into your home and don't live, even as a family, live in isolation, live sort of beyond yourself. So, obviously anybody who kind of knows us probably knows you have 4 kids. I'm the oldest of 4. Lisa, Tyler, and Lindsay, then are the other 3 that were, I really blazed the trail for them. And
Perfection.
and I always wondered why you wanted to have more after you had perfection from the beginning. But no, what do you have to say about the child who made you the parents you are today?
Well, so
What was
Lisa,
that was an awkward pause. I thought you guys would capture where I was
no,
going with that.
I thought you were trying to trick me, but okay.
No, okay, so forget that question. Um, uh, creating that home, you did that. So you may not have done it in the same way, but I grew up you having 4 kids, and yet for my entire high school age, we had a friend who lived with us. We opened up our home that someone, a friend, Lori, hi Lori, Lori Corley, who was Lori Lindsay at the time. She lived with us for all those years, and so you did open up your home. You made a space for people to come. And I know you, and my friends always knew you as sort of safe people to come to as well. So, what would be one of the traditions of your family that you remember and were meaningful to you, whether you continued it on or just helped shape a little bit of who you are?
Like around the holidays, are you thinking?
Yeah, or just in general.
I think, well, around the holidays, we always got together. Tom's family lived like a mile from mine. So we'd get together with both families. And there's so many different dynamics with both families, but we loved being with both. So it was really, really fun. I mean, we would sit and talk, we'd play games. Christmas Eve, Santa always came for you kids. And it was, I'm going to spoil it for you now, but it was Grandpa Lane.
What?
Yes,
What?
he was Santa.
He was dressed up? Oh my.
There was no Santa.
Yeah, full disclosure, I now have the Santa suit. So
It's you now.
Yeah,
Okay.
Don't tell
I
the
hope none of the grandkids are watching.
Yeah, you didn't mention the fact that I have 4 beautiful children and your spouses and 15 beautiful grandkids.
15 grandkids.
Absolutely. From 22 down to 9.
That's right.
That's my life. That's my heart.
That's right. Well, that it is. What is your go to sort of traditions? I'm going to sort of tee up and see if you know where I'm going with this. Related to Dad, what do you think is his favorite tradition at Thanksgiving?
Did everyone go around the table and tell what they're thankful for?
Yeah.
And I never know because I'm like, I don't know. You just asked me. This is kind of what I'm talking about. You put me on the spot and I don't know.
Okay, so I want to ask you about this whole tradition of being thankful and go around the table. Because I think a lot of families they want to have a great family. They want to have good traditions, and yet I think even for our family it's kind of funny because that's probably many families at Thanksgiving you're going around and you're asking what are you thankful for, and yet it's Dad. Would you say that it seems like it's somewhat begrudgingly this happens as a tradition in our family?
Yeah. That tradition around Thanksgiving is sort of like taking the family picture around the holidays. Like everybody hates it until they get it, and it's like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah, until it's done, everybody goes, no, no, we don't. Let's don't do that this year. It just takes a few minutes, and there's nothing deep that's required. You know what are you thankful for?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't think of one thing, that's pretty sad.
It's pretty sad. But I think even that, you know what? You're actually highlighting a big leadership principle that a lot of times you got to take people where they don't want to go. And, you know, you've got a vision for where you want to go, and you got people that are complaining and, you know, they don't get it and da da da. And yet, you know, you've never made it. And because here I am at almost 50 years old, and still I know it's about to come. And I'm like, man, I'm about to sit down and watch football. Dad wants to go around and talk about what we're thankful for. You know, I feel like this 13-year-old still coming out in me because dad's saying to do it. And yet, you know, I think yet we all know, okay, when we sit down, we're going to talk about it. And that builds the traditions of family.
Yep.
But you never put it heavy-handed. Sometimes I feel like people, when they want to get something done or accomplished, they kind of get a little frustrated, a little angry. And you're never like that. You just, you know, you point to a simple tradition. And it's funny what maybe started as in sort of my generation as we got some other stuff we want to do. The third generation, the grandkids, they love it.
I love it.
They're wondering, hey, when's Papa going to ask? Are we going to go around and say what we're thankful for? And so the stick to itness of what you're after builds the tradition.
That's true. I think I would tend to be more of the driver behind it if it weren't for your mom. You know, as soon as she feels I'm getting a little legalistic, it's like, no. This year we're not doing what we're thankful for just because you want it so bad.
Yeah. You know, this is a great. I want to go to this point because, Mom, you are always kind of you're the fun mom, and you really weren't legalistic. And I wouldn't put the term legalistic on you, but if I put between both parents, one who's more of the rule driver and one who's kind of the
100%.
hey, you're gonna be all right. That mom's more in that category. Why were you more like that? And I think probably traditionally that's not most moms. Most moms are probably the ones who feel like they gotta toe the line with their kids and da da da. But you were kind of like as an example, if I was sick or whatever, I actually felt like I couldn't miss school. Like I didn't want to have homework catch up and da da da. So I would be like, I got to go through. And you'd be like, honey, take a couple of days off. Just come back. You're gonna be fine. Don't. You were like encouraging me not to go to school. So this was kind of where did that come from in you?
I think I don't like legalism. I'm kind of one of those. I know there's people out there that are not like me. I don't like rules that don't make sense. And so if they don't make sense to me, it's like, okay, you know what? We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And especially if someone says you have to do that, then it's like,
You're like,
let
oh
me
no.
think about that for a minute. No, I don't think we do have to do that. So,
Yeah.
but with school, like I was like, I'm your mom. If I think you need to stay home, stay home. And then my kids, all of y'all argued. It's like, no, I can't miss school. So I did try and make it not fun at home if you were faking sick, because it's like, okay, that's fine, but you can't watch TV. You can't do all the fun things. It's kind of like everyone got better. It's like, no, I think I'm going to make this. I'll be okay.
But if we really were sick, you took it easy on us.
So I would
You
give
could
you a
watch
little
TV.
insight. I think that is reflective of her school experience. You know,
Tell
it's
us
like,
more.
oh, it's like, school's not that big of a deal. I mean, you know, she went to school not to do the books, you know, do the homework and all that, to see her friends and have fun.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like, oh, take a day off. It's no problem. Take a day off.
We just remodeled our bathroom, and our bedroom, and so we have 2 memorabilia boxes that I got out, and I found my old report cards, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Like in your from
from
grade school?
from grade school all the
In
way
like your
through.
bathroom?
No, it was in the bedroom.
Memorabilia.
You remember? Okay.
Actually, it was in
Sorry,
the
this is
closet.
fascinating.
Yes, it was
So-
in the closet. So I opened it up, and on top were my report cards. I'm like, I wonder what, because I know I got in trouble a lot for talking. And I thought, I wonder what they said every year. Every single year, it's like, Jen needs to learn to not talk so much. And I'm thinking, that's the whole purpose of school, is to see your friends and talk.
Right.
But yeah, so I got in trouble a lot for that, but I got good grades.
Yeah.
I did study when I studied. did forget my homework a lot, but yeah.
Well,
But I
but
got
you,
good grades, and yeah.
and you encouraged the social side of your life,
Mhm.
and that played out for us as kids. I mean, growing up, you were the mom. I mean, I sort of the way I described sort of my high school, and I imagine for you, it's kind of like I'm about to leave and go to college, and you're wanting to bond with your son, and our way of bonding was we watched Cheers.
I know, and I know
Like,
I'm a bad mom for doing that, but it was like, okay, there wasn't that much on at 10 o'clock at night, but the Tonight Show, and so I'm like, okay,
yeah,
we can watch Cheers.
you're a late night person. I probably get a little bit of that from you as well. So I late night, and but that was like so I think about a lack of legalism. So we were a family that we didn't drink. Your home wasn't a
We don't
home,
go to bars,
and yet we don't go to bars, and yet our show that we watched was Cheers, which
mhm,
is a bar,
and we loved it, and we laughed.
and it
It
was
was funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
We did love Cheers, but I think part of what that displayed to me was relationship over rules. A
Totally.
relationship spoke everything to
Mhm.
you, and what you did as a mom is you sought to reinforce relationship. And of course, we had a home with boundaries and rules and so forth. But what I watched develop in you was a mom who wanted and sought after vigilantly relationship with your kids. And
Well, one thing I thought when your kids are little, that's the time to be disciplinary because if you don't discipline that attitude out of them when they're 3 and 4, when they're 13 and 14, you kind of lost them because they've developed a bad habit of being disrespectful and disobedient. So when you were little, I was vigilant on no, no,
mm,
no, 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 obey, just
mm,
obey. And I mean, I wasn't mean, but I didn't let things slide that I didn't think should slide.
mhm.
And I got to enjoy all of you kids when you were teenagers
Yeah,
because
because you did that, you did the
I
hard
did the
stuff
hard work
early.
and it was not fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that was a principle until I did it. And there's like, well, and then another thing that I learned was a principle was you would come home from school and say, you know what? I'm going to get my homework done so I can go play. Well, I never thought of that. It's like, that is a great idea. Do your homework first. So then I passed that principle down to your siblings of like, well, you can do it
See,
after.
look, I did
I
help.
know
I
you
did
did.
help
Yeah,
make the
you
woman
did.
you are today.
That's you did. You made me a good mom.
Oh, yeah. So that yeah, that passed down.
Hmm.
That's great. That is the sort of the thing about firstborns, which both of you are firstborns.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we're it's a whole set of firstborns today. You do end up like your parents are learning on you, but you also got to realize, as a kid, you realize later in life, it's like, oh, they were learning. I mean, I am learning to be a human. They're learning to be parents, and what I guess what would you say to encourage moms? Like, there's such a pressure today. You've got moms that they're maybe in a career and at home, and ultimately, I think what every parent wants, they want relationship with their
Hmm.
child, and you guys did that. You have a relationship. If one of the hallmarks of a life well lived is when you look and your kids want to be around you. Your family desires to be close, and you guys have done that. You've got 25 people that are in your lineage, 26 now actually because we had a JD,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and so 26, and we like you guys.
Thank you so much.
And, uh, so how did you do it? What are the principles of that made that happen?
Go ahead. I know you love principles.
Um, well, one principle was fun.
Mm,
We, our goal was to, accomplish things, but in the midst of it, to have fun. And one of the things about kids, uh, if they're not having fun, they're gonna be disruptors.
mm,
So even if you're assigning them work, if you assign them work and you make it fun,
mm.
it's not work to them.
Right.
Oh, this is fun. Can I do this again? Sure, we'll do it tomorrow.
Mm.
We're going to call it take out the trash, But
We're gonna call it take out the trash. Oh, that fun game again.
yeah,
I don't remember that game actually.
You should remember that game because I have a story about that.
Oh, let's hear.
Hmm.
I'm sure I'll remember.
So that was your job, was to take out the trash.
Yeah,
And in
yeah.
where we
That's
live,
why I didn't think of it as a game.
you
You
did
didn't
not
fool
think of
me
it.
on that one.
So that was your job, take
Yeah.
out the trash. So I would ask you to take out the trash, and we began to develop a little attitude about taking out the trash. And so when I would
You and I together did. We.
yeah, I was trying to get you to do it, and you were trying to not do it. So
I
you
see.
say, "I'll do it later," or else you go, or
Uh,
sometimes roll your eyes at me, and
what? That doesn't
I
sound like me.
finally, I know, Sweetie,
Not today,
you'll
for
see
sure.
why. You'll see why not in just a few minutes. So I got to the place where I take the trash out myself. And one day I was taking out the trash myself, and I thought, why am I doing this? This is his job. Because I don't want to put up with what he's going to do when I ask him to take it out. So I decided, I'm going to talk to him about this and let him know what's going to happen next time. So we sat down one time, we were in the family room, and I said, hey, can I talk to you for just a minute? And you're like, sure. I said, so I'm noticing a pattern here that I'm not liking. And when I ask you to take out the trash, you roll your eyes, you gasp, you sigh, you fall on the floor. It's like I've asked you to
Did I really
cut
fall on
off.
the floor?
You absolutely did. And that's when I started taking it out myself. And I just want you to know that you're not going to get to keep doing that. So I'm just warning you right now. The next time I ask you to take out the trash, you say yes. And if you don't, I'm going to spank you. And you were just about as tall as I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? So before I asked you to take out the trash the next time, I said, okay, Todd, I'm going to ask you to do something. And we've had this conversation. And I just want you to remember the conversation about this. And I'm going to ask you to take out the trash. And you didn't believe me one bit. You just sighed and you rolled your eyes and you're like, oh, later, I can do it later. I'm like, I'm gonna have to spank you. And you went, what? I'm like, yeah, I told you if you do this again, I'm going to spank you. And you're like, what? So I said, yeah, go get the spoon.
He was 22.
No, but he might have been 10. I mean, it was just old enough that I'm like, oh, I hate this. And moms, it is hard to discipline the kids. I mean, very, very hard. It's not a fun thing to do. And sometimes you go behind the door and you cry, knowing that this is going to be really hard on me to spank my child or to discipline them in any way because I don't want to hurt them. But I thought this can't continue to go on. I'm not teaching him anything if I keep taking out the trash when it's his job. So I'm following you down the hall with the spoon in my hand going, I'm never doing this again, ever. So I'm going to figure another way out. We're not going to have a spanking. Like I decided when they get as tall as you, you don't ever spank them.
That's a good
And
rule
our
of thumb.
spankings weren't a big deal. It was like two swats, but yeah, you're not going to get away with something, but we're going to do something different next time. But anyway, the next time I asked you to take out the trash, you're like, okay. And you had a good attitude and you did from then on. So, I mean, that's
I
a
didn't like
tip.
spankings, especially at
like-
10 years old.
No,
It felt like it
when
was
you
a
said you
bit
would
much.
never take out the trash, I'm like, how could you forget this was the most traumatic
You've
thing
now
I
unlocked it in my soul and it's coming forth, and now I
Okay, let's
feel like I
talk
need some counseling.
It affected your dignity, your personal dignity.
Yes, exactly. I didn't know that word at 10, but I knew that that's what it had done. That's really good. Well, I think you've always been really good at that, in that you didn't avoid hard conversations, though it may have been hard to you, but you also didn't approach it emotionally or like, if a kid's being, they're elevating and their temper and all that kind of stuff. And I think the feeling that a lot of parents have is they rise to that. And so then you get this volatile situation. And neither of you were ever like that. But definitely, I think moms tend to take, especially from boys as they get older and, but you always approached it very relationally. And clearly that probably wasn't easy. But how did you stop yourself from trying to sort of match in attitude? You didn't. You kept it like, I'm not going to match your attitude. You're going to come to my level.
I think because I saw so many people doing it another way, and I'm like, okay, that child is not being disciplined at all. And I thought, I don't want to have kids that are brats and no one wants to be around. So I didn't take it personally, like you disobeyed because you don't like me or don't love me. But it was like, I want to get across to you that you're not in charge. I'm in charge. I'm the boss. And we can have fun. And we did have lots of fun, but I feel kids are more comfortable if they know what their boundaries are. This is what I will allow. This is what I won't allow. And so,
Well, because with the boundaries, as a parent, you can then really empower your kids to run within those boundaries. You don't have to control them, and they feel a freedom. So that helps develop some element of independence, which is necessary for them to grow as a human. And yeah, I think you did a great job of doing that, and yet also holding accountable. I remember one story that, and this is a story that was in infamy in my life, and it's passed to each of my kids. And it was when I was turning 16. The week before, 2 weeks before I was turning 16, and I had been counting down my 16th birthday since I was 8 years old. At 8 years old, I'm like, I'm halfway there. I got 8 more years till I can drive. 9, I'm like, I got 7 more years. 10, and so I could not wait to drive. 2 weeks before my 16th birthday, I'm leaving to go to a friend's house, and Mom stops me on the way out. She's like, "Hey, you guys be home at 11 tonight." And I just remember being like, well, "We're spending the night at his house. Don't like his parents decide when we're going to be home." And she's like, "No, you guys be home at 11." Well, we go off to his house. I completely disregard that. And we get home at 12 to my friend's house. And we show up, and his dad's like, "Hey, what time you guys are supposed to be home?" We were like, "Well, you never told us, but we just said 12. He goes, "Well, Jan called, and she had told you guys to be home at 11. And she wants you to call." And I'm like, "Oh, man, she is." So I call. You're like, "What did I tell you?" We have that sort of short conversation. You said, "Well, you stay over there, but as soon as you come back in the morning, I want you to, we're going to talk." So I spent the night over there, come back the next morning. And I remember Dad's in the driveway doing something, cleaning something or whatever. And he's like, "I hear we had a little problem last night." And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess we were home late." He's like, "Well, come on in, Mom, and I want to talk to you." So we go in, and and it was such a odd thing. You had never asked me, you had never put a boundary on that of someone else, like you had done. And so I come back in, and you guys are like, "Well, we had put this boundary, and part of this was a test to see you're going to be out of our home when you learn to drive. And we need to know that you're going to be where you say you're going to be, and da-da-da. And you didn't do that this time. And so you'll go and get your license next week. We'll go down and get it done, but you won't be able to drive for 2 weeks." And you would have thought, it gut punched me. Now, obviously I never forgot it, and taught each one of my kids, who have now all learned to drive, the same story. And what you did is in a way you were, I didn't know that's what you were doing. You were testing out a boundary and my ability to respond to that. You might have known he's not going to do it. We're going to have a problem, or maybe you thought I would do it.
No, had no idea. And I don't even know why I said it. It was just like, okay, I don't know why I said it, but then there it was. And so then when you didn't do it, I was shocked. And then I talked to Dad about, well, what do we need to do? He didn't do what we said. And I said, I think he needs to not be able to drive for a week. And Dad's like, that seems pretty strong. And I'm like, I know, but I think that's what we're supposed to do. So we didn't let you drive for a week. And when we had that conversation that day, I went in the bedroom and cried and cried and cried because I just thought, this is terrible. Well, it ended up being such a good thing, because what happened was you were always on time for curfew. If we said be home by 12, you were always home by 12. Or we said, if you're going to be late, call and let us okay that. And so you always did that. And I never felt like we had to argue about it. You didn't argue about it. And I let you come home a half hour late sometimes, because I was the one that was up. He was the one that was sleeping. But we just didn't have any problems. And so that kind of, like I said, you did kind of teach some things, because then I thought, okay, this is the way it works. And kids will respect this. So we kind of carried it out with the other kids. If you're going to be late, call me, or you're going to be restricted.
Yes.
We disciplined for disobedience. We didn't discipline because you embarrassed us or frustrated us, or we never did the 1, 2, 3. We engaged with you to make sure you understood what we expected. And then if you didn't, once you made eye contact and you knew that what we want, and you don't do it, disobedience, and you get disciplined for disobedience. And the reason we did that is because I think that's the way God works in our life. He disciplines us, even as adults now, for disobedience. So we were wanting to train in the process of that. And the other thing is, we monitored the influence of your friends. So there's another test that was a part of that, and that is, will you stand up to your friends and tell, or your friend, and say, hey, I don't know what time you have to be in, but I have to be in by 11 tonight.
I failed. I failed that night. I couldn't do it.
You all did, don't worry.
And it's all a part of a training to say, will you be the influence, or will you be influenced in the process?
Which we all know is the overarching Lane statement right there.
Slippery slope.
Slippery slope. Exactly. You're home late one night, and before you know it, you're doing a line of coke.
Very slippery.
Yeah, it's a very slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope.
Okay, so one of the things that I thought was, I think, insightful in what you just talked about is because I think a lot of times parents will avoid the hard thing in their emotion, and therefore not take it as far as it needs to go with their kids. And I think you were very real. Like, you went and cried, and yet you stayed true to something. You watched your child for half of their life. By the way, so I'm still a little bitter.
And no. And
but-
I said that to Dad. I said, he's been saying since he was 8 years old, 8 more years than I can drive. How can we really do this? But we just really felt like it was an important step, and we did not realize how important it was or what all the ramifications would be. Like, we kind of stumbled into it. So it's not like you always know this is the thing that's going to change his life. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So you were very real in how hard that was, but you're also real what you said. I don't know why I said it. Well, how many times for a parent, or really any leader, might there be a moment where the Holy Spirit is prompting you to do something that seems out of the norm, isn't part of the process? Now I'm thinking in an organization where you have procedures and policies and all of a sudden, but the Lord says, hey, I want to change this one time. I want to do this different. And being willing to adapt to what the Holy Spirit may be saying in a moment could change the trajectory of somebody's life.
Yeah.
And that's what you did in that moment. It's now the story, one of the big stories of my life of,
I'm still going to cry about it.
yeah. And maybe it's because I have a wound I haven't fully healed from, but talking about it helps. I'm confessing
Good.
that wound right now. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, we can go back to traditions a little bit.
Okay.
So we love being together as a family, and when you found your spouse started getting married, we had to coordinate how this is all going to work, and with the coordination and the support of you kids' spouses, we now do 1 year,
Rotations and-
a rotation. 1 year we're at our house, or it's Elaine Christmas. The next year it's Elaine Thanksgiving when we celebrate the Elaine Christmas at Thanksgiving. It's just a tradition, and it's partly a respect of your spouse's families as well. We will share, but we wanted it coordinated so that we could have everybody in our family together at the holiday one time.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to work out those traditions to adapt as your family grows.
Yep.
And how you do and make that happen. I think that's a really important thing to stretch the generational traditions and to be able to make that happen and be willing to adapt and change. And
I'd just say a couple other tradition things that we do around the holidays that they're not 10-year traditions. They're a few years though. So now with this many of us, we rent a big van that can
a window.
I was going
It's
to
a
say
bus?
a window van.
Oh, a bus.
A bus. Yeah. Okay.
Also known as a bus.
Oh, that's
Well,
the curve.
now with 25 of us, it's a bus.
I got
It
you.
used to be a window van.
I got you.
But now it's a bus. So the bus arrives, we all get on the bus, we have drinks, we eat pizza, we sing songs, and we go look at Christmas lights. And we've done that for a few years now, but and probably this year we were going, okay, maybe this is a year we don't do it. And there was a no.
An outcry.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you try to break traditions.
Yeah.
You gotta watch that. Okay, so let's. I want to go back and sort maybe even sort of end on this kind of point, but the strong women and the men who love them. Okay, so I still think that's a bit of a misnomer. Though you are a strong person, I think probably what traditionally people think of a strong woman, that actually is not your demeanor, But you're a very strong woman.
Well, I think some of it, and you can continue with it, but I think some of it is just the way that I think, because a lot of people that have read the book say, the guys say to me, I think more like you. My wife thinks more like he thinks. And it's like, okay, you know what? So this doesn't have to be gender specific, but this is how our role works. This is how our marriage works. This is what works in our life.
Yeah.
And so I hope it's helpful to anybody.
Well, you are drawn to strategic thinking. You think leadership principles, even though the expanse of that may not have been broad and vast in the marketplace. It
Right.
was in the home, and your family lineage is one of leadership, and you were a part of a lot of things. And so I think that speaks to that dynamic. How would you say, as strong leader dad as well. How does that dynamic work in the home, and how do you two balance the maybe what has been more you're an outward facing leader and have been, and yet I know at home, though mom hasn't have a platform for that strength to come out, it comes out at home.
Yeah.
And so how have you managed that?
Yeah.
I'm not bossy. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's just get that out.
Tom, be quiet. No, the strength of mom's personality is she doesn't avoid conflict. She will speak openly and honestly, and if it creates conflict, that it's conflict that's needed. My personality is I'd rather not have conflict, so I will avoid conflict and not and deny or be dishonest, and you'll feel the effect of it, but it'll be a passive.
It's a little passive aggressive.
Yeah, it'll be a passive aggressive effect, and so I've had to get in touch with those issues in my life because it created a dynamic in our marriage. You know, I would imagine she was meaning things that she wasn't even meaning, and I'd never even talked to her about it. And you know, she was always upfront, and she would. I mean, if she thought something, she would tell me, and I would shuck and weave and bob and jive, you know, so she could never pin it on me. It's like, no, what? No. And internally I'd be thinking, if you've got to ask, girl, I'm not going to tell you. You should be intuitive enough to know.
Wasn't.
And so it created dynamics that we had to get over. And I think even for mom, because in the church, I very much understand authority and respectful of people in positions of authority, and mom is too. But she wouldn't put up with nonsense. You know, if you're a leader and you're saying stuff and the BS factor is high, she's not gonna
Lead.
she's not gonna hide from that.
Right.
You know, and I might walk away thinking, yeah, I don't know if I don't know, you know, and I would internalize it, and she would externalize it. And traditionally in the church, there's not been a place for that for a woman. You know, well, go home and talk to your husband about that. And in some ways, I tried to stifle that in her, and then I figured out I can't stifle it. So
Good luck.
yeah, that's who she is.
Yeah.
And I don't want to stifle it. You know, I married her because of that.
Yeah.
That was attractive to me.
Well, you guys have had to contend to create the environment in your home where you can have those conversations. It's not like that's been easy.
Yep.
You've had to do that, and that's required that you've gone to counseling to resolve issues and work through things. And I think that's important for people to know
Absolutely.
and see that the benefit of 51 years of marriage. That's what it is, right? 51,
Yeah.
51 years
You're
of
almost 50, so that's
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I was trying to do the math. It hasn't been just, you know, without some conflict, working through tons of issues, inviting other people to help you into those issues. And the result of it is you've got a strong, vibrant marriage who you love each other and still have fun together. And you've created a home that your kids, who are now still approaching 50 themselves, still desire to come and hang out with you. So kudos, guys. Y'all do a pretty good job.
Oh,
Thank
we're
you.
thankful. Oh
What
my
a-
gosh.
What a blessing it is for us.
Well, I know we can have many more of these conversations because, Mom, I feel like we just unlocked some of the stories. But I love you both,
Love
and
you.
y'all are amazing people. I'm
Proud of
honored.
you.
I'm honored to have you as parents. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll pray us out. And
Yeah, please.
and maybe you are somebody who you're going, man, I wish I could have parents like this, or I want to be a parent like that. I want to pray over you because you can. Whatever you desire in this moment, this has inspired something in you, and you're a woman, you look at my mom and go, there's an ease about her that has seemed to result in something that's, she hasn't lost her mind and yet has a family who loves her, and he's been able to lead both organizationally and in their home and foster an environment together that has a family that is one that we're proud of, and we love that we get to do life together as a family. And I want to pray that for you if that's something you desire. So God, thank you for everyone who is tuning in today. Thank you, Lord. I just want to express thankfulness for my family. Lord, I realize that's by your grace. I didn't do anything to be born into this family. But Lord, I know there's somebody out there today who can begin today forming their family in exactly the way that you want for them based on their personalities and who they are. But Lord, can reflect your image in their home. And so, Lord, I just pray over them today. I just pray blessing and every need and desire that's present, even as we're closing off this podcast. So you know the needs that are present. Meet them today, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So if this may be a little self-indulgent, but the podcast is sponsored by the Executive Leadership Institute. And if somebody's interested in knowing more, we have 2 books on our website, executiveleaders.com. They could go to our website, and Strong Women and the Men Who Love Them is available there, and a book called Heritage. And that's a book that talks about building the wealth of your family, a heritage, not money, but generational blessing.
Yep, absolutely. Amen. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.